a lot of people who are giving psychological advice treat it like the mind is this abstract, ephemeral thing that doesn't exist in your body.
Yeah.
Right? It's just this, you have a thought cloud, and so we treat it like the thought cloud. You can just wipe off a whiteboard and put new thoughts up there. But that's not how it fucking works.
Yeah.
We have hormones raging around our body based on threat signals that we perceive both objectively and subjectively. And so it's very hard to control thoughts. It's very hard to suppress emotions. In fact, it's problematic and counterproductive to suppress emotions, definitely in the longer term, but sometimes in the shorter term. Impacts decision-making, impacts response times, all these sorts of things. And once I had, connected the dots of the training that I had done in my 20s and the experiences I had as an athlete myself with, I was trying to tell myself to calm down when it literally wasn't possible and I didn't have to. I could have just been like, all right, you're fucking amped, go and do something with it. And for me, it was a process of iteration or evolution of the okay, I'm going to try that. And I did it with an athlete. For the most part, things worked. Sometimes they didn't, and I learned. But I pieced together a combined model of those three areas that I'm now calling the E.A.S.E pressure framework. And E.A.S.E is the acronym in there, where it's emotion, attention, strategy, and execution. Because if you deliver on all four of those things, if you have a good understanding of the principles involved under each of those headings, and you know some solid processes that help you put them into play when you need them, and you instill those practices so you actually develop them as a second nature process rather than, I've got to think about doing this, then when the pressure hits, you're able to manage, you don't control, but you manage the changes in your system, both physically, psychologically, and neurologically to maximum effect. So the decrements that happen, and usually it's decrements, it's not like pressure lifts people. We do get honed by pressure. We can harness pressure when you're on a deadline, right? But that's usually because we have no other choice. And so the emotion, attention, strategy, execution framework, E.A.S.E framework, is there as a scaffolding really for people to climb through and grab onto when they're feeling a bit lost under pressure.
So let's start with emotion. Let's start with the E.
Yeah. So emotion, the counterintuitive view of emotion, as I said before, I think in part of the intro, is it's not as fucking important as we think. Like, it's very important. I don't want people to think that if you feel sad forever, that's okay. But the ability to, in any given moment, understand that I feel how I feel and I can change it. But if I'm also supposed to catch that pass that Patrick Mahomes is throwing to me, what's more important? Do I need to change my feelings or do I need to get my hands on the ball? Being able to prioritize that, usually under pressure, action is going to be more important than, let's make myself feel a little better. So once that principle is understood, and we can usually, particularly for people who've been in pressure situations or performance situations, which AKA means every human.
Yeah.
When you think back to a time when you didn't feel well, but you still performed well, everyone has one. I can sit with every single professional athlete. I can sit with a CEO for sure, public speaker, nurse, doctor, you name it, podcast host, entrepreneur. You have had a time where you didn't feel good going into an immersion event or a very important thing. You didn't feel right, but you still crushed it. And so once you're able to understand that emotion and outcome aren't as linked as we think. I can't positively manifest $1 million outside this door, no matter how fucking hard I dream.
Yeah.
So we can't influence things with our mind as much as we think.
Yeah.
And our emotions don't dictate how we perform unless we let them. Unless I believe that my emotions are that important, then they will get in the fucking way. And so it's actually reverse engineering what we've been taught about positive thinking and saying, to be honest, your feelings don't fucking matter in the moment.